You recently signed a 6-week abortion ban in Florida. That is popular with Republican voters. The majority support that, but you haven't yet said whether you would support doing that at the federal level.
Now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' answer to Megyn Kelly's question has upset an unexpected group on the right after he carried water for them in his own state of Florida. So let's hear what he said, and then I'll tell you how the extremists in his party don't think that he's extreme enough. Let's watch.
I really believe right now in our society, it's really a bottom-up movement, and that's where we've had most success: Iowa, South Carolina, Florida. And I think you're going to continue to see a lot of good battles there.
So you're not in support of a federal law?
I'll always come down on the side of life, and I'm proud to be pro-life, and I'll be a pro-life president.
But if you do that, I mean, if you sign a federal law, making a 6-week standard, the law across the country, aren't we just then going to get a Democrat administration with Democrat Congress that reverses or that codifies Roe and back and forth? Why isn't it just a states' rights issue?
Well, clearly the states have. I think the states have the primary jurisdiction over it. I do think
they do, but if there's a federal law, that's going to change.
Well, I think there is a federal interest, but I think the reality is that the country's divided on it. You're not going to see Wisconsin mimic what Texas has. Clearly, right now, you are going to see different states go in different directions, and I understand that.
I would be irritated with Ron DeSantis if I were a Republican voter. Just say what you actually mean. He's so weaselly and inauthentic. But anyway, apparently DeSantis' lack of commitment to a federal 15-week abortion ban has upset the anti-choice zealots over at Susan B. Anthony. Now, the president of that group, Marjorie Dannenfelser, criticized the governor and other presidential contenders like Nikki Haley for, understanding reality and the difficulty of accomplishing these federal bans. She stated that Governor DeSantis' dismissal of this task is unacceptable to pro-life voters. A consensus is already formed. Intensity for it is palpable and measurable. It is measurable, and there isn't much support for it, but let me continue. There are many pressing legislative issues for which Congress does not have the votes at the moment. Glad she realizes that. But that is not a reason, according to her, for a strong leader to back away from the fight. No, it's insane that this group is going after Ron DeSantis, of all people. Don't make me defend Ron DeSantis against your attacks. Ron DeSantis is super extreme. Do I need to remind you that he signed a 6-week abortion ban in the state of Florida? In fact, it's even more extreme and goes even further than what this group wants on a federal level, right? And that's the thing. These are people who want to force the religious conservative will onto the rest of us, okay? In fact, the majority of conservatives want to keep abortions legal in the first trimester. So if anything, if you are a right-wing group and you're thinking about, electoral victory, you would probably be critical toward Ron DeSantis for banning abortions past 6 weeks. Now, according to an April NPR Marist poll, almost 9 in 10 Republicans and 3/4 of independents want to see abortion restricted to 3 months or less. But a Gallup poll from July of this year, or just last month, shows that about 2/3 of Americans say that it should be legal in the first trimester. 69% of them say that, while support does drop to 37% for the second trimester and 22% for the third. Many red states like Florida, again, have banned abortion before the first trimester is even over. Meanwhile, most blue states are sticking to keeping abortion legal up until the fetus is viable outside the womb, which is somewhere between 22 to 24 weeks gestation. And that's what infuriates anti-choice groups like Susan B. Anthony. They want to force the will of religious conservatives onto everyone in the country. Just like any group with extreme views, they're never satisfied. It's never good enough. They don't care about any of the political ramifications or consequences of what their project is. And if they don't have their way, they whine and cry about it. And while this far-right organization is starting with a 15-week federal abortion ban, please don't fool yourself into thinking they plan to stop there. So courting the extreme conservative wing of the Republican Party could be yet another problem for DeSantis, who is in fact attempting to galvanize support among evangelicals. But I suggest just, ignoring these people. I mean, Trump did that when they urged him to pass a federal 15-week abortion ban. Despite Trump's appointments of conservative Supreme Court justices that paved the way for overturning Roe v. Wade last year, the former president has since kept a distance from the anti-abortion movement, touting his work in the past, but suggesting that the issue is for states to decide. Now, Dannenfelser in April called Trump's position a morally indefensible position for a self-proclaimed pro-life presidential candidate to hold. Like, you got what you wanted with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and you're trashing the guy who got you there. I'm not defending Trump for doing that. It's one of the elements of Trump's administration that I hate the most. But they're never satisfied because they're extremists. A few weeks later, however, Trump attended a meeting with her, Senator Lindsey Graham, and Family Research Council President Tony Perkins, after which she called the meeting terrific. But guess what? He ignored them after that. He didn't even try for a 15-week abortion ban. The only Republican presidential candidate who has committed to federal abortion bans is former Vice President Mike Pence. And guess what? He's polling so low that he doesn't even qualify for the first Republican primary debate. My guess is that the GOP might have learned a valuable lesson during the 2022 midterm elections when the Supreme Court's reversal of federal abortion protections through Roe v. Wade prevented the red wave from ever happening. And that was the red wave that the GOP was expecting. Look, sometimes playing the culture war, I'm happy to report, comes back to bite you in the ass. But there's an important lesson to be learned here for politicians on both sides. Just ignore the extremists. They don't speak for everyone. I get it, they're the loudest. But they don't speak for everyone, and it's not even close. And they'll cost you elections. DeSantis, meanwhile, is going to keep trying to appease the anti-choice radicals.
We signed the heartbeat bill in Florida, which I'm the only candidate running that has actually delivered pro-life protections and got those enacted. A lot of the other people talk, a lot of that. And so as president, I'm pro-life, I'll come down on the side of pro-life. But let's just be clear here about with all this. Some people talk, I act.
All right, buddy. Just keep in mind that if Susan B. Anthony wanted to keep abortions safe and legal in the first trimester, if all they wanted was a 15-week abortion ban, wouldn't they be upset with Ron DeSantis being even more extreme in his state by banning abortion at 6 weeks? Could it be that they actually love the 6-week abortion ban and just want to start with a 15-week federal abortion ban and then work their way, whittle it down to the point where it would effectively be illegal to obtain an abortion in this country? Look, this is a healthcare issue. This is a decision that women should make. It's their body. If the fetus is not viable outside the womb, I would venture to say that the woman should have the right to make that choice. It's between her and her doctor, and having the government involved, having the government have a say and essentially tell women what they can and can't do with their own bodies, not the way to go. And I think the majority of American people agree with that, which is why Republicans had a rude awakening during the midterm elections. And by the way, right now, as we speak, so is former Vice President Mike Pence. Again, didn't even qualify for the first GOP debate. Absolutely love it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.